Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar. It's really a pleasure to see you here. My name is Damir, and I'm going to talk about ServiceNow UI Builder capabilities. I'm going to talk about building user-friendly web pages by using ServiceNow UI Builder. I'm going to share my personal tips and tricks for utilizing UI Builder capabilities to cover all your needs. So let me introduce myself. I'm skilled ServiceNow consultant and developer with more than 6 years of experience. I'm certified ServiceNow developer and system administrator. I also certified implementation specialist in ServiceNow discovery and service mapping. I have diverse background in delivering, managing processes, and deployment ServiceNow in ITSM, ITOM, and ITBM modules. I have wide experience in building branded service portal and over the years developed dozens of custom widgets. For the last year, I have been working closely with ServiceNow UI Builder. I have built web apps using UI Builder interface, utilized out-of-the-box components in a different way to meet customer needs. I have also developed custom components from the scratch for complex and not regular cases. So I'm a big fan of web development, and UI Builder provides me opportunity to run my imagination wild. All right, let's do a quick overview of our webinar agenda. I'm going to shortly introduce our company Teiva system, what kind of services and solutions we provide. I'm going to talk about ServiceNow UI Builder capabilities, what's the main difference between Service Portal and Service UI Builder. And the main part of the webinar is a practice session where we will overview web page development from Figma template. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a Q&A session where I can answer all your questions. Teiva system as a premier and platform partner helps businesses that lack a time, expertise, or resource develop and sell innovative products that solve real-world problems on ServiceNow platform. We have solutions for SaaS companies, for enterprises, for MSP. Here you can see our superstars at the last Knowledge Conference. Okay, let's overview ServiceNow UI Builder. Back in a while, as a part of Quebec release, ServiceNow has introduced UI Builder as a part of Now Experience Framework. UI Builder is a web interface builder where with simple drag and drop, you can build web pages by using big library of out-of-the-box components. You can get detailed information for components from ServiceNow Developer Portal with best practices, advices, and basic principles. There are a lot of documentation which tells how you should use component, how you shouldn't, and what kind of events it uses. I really like official ServiceNow explanation for UI Builder. If it can be done in CSS, it can be done in UI Builder. This means that UI Builder delivers full control over how data is displayed with advanced styles and themes to match your organization standards. So creating a new portal or workspace is as simple as choosing page template. Let's review key benefits of ServiceNow UI Builder. By UI Builder, you can personalize your user experience. You can add different variants, and depending on the user role, they will see specific version of the page. You can reduce time to value. You can build up quick web page and deliver some basic pages. Also, you can create actionable experiences. All right, let's review ServiceNow UI Builder core capabilities. Here we have layouts where you can pick up the best matching layout using powerful Flexbox or CSS grid layout. As I have mentioned before, there is a big library of components which range from buttons and labels to more complex ones like lists or forms. Whenever you are missing some component, you can develop this component from the scratch. But from my personal experience, I can tell that out-of-the-box components cover all basic requirements. With model, you can provide alerts or calls to action for user. And custom styling gives you opportunity to tune the components, to tune the page, so you can apply a custom look. With binding data with data resource, it gives us access to the backend logic, and as a result, we can bind the result from the server logic and use it as a web page. For example, we can get some data from the specific table and display it in our components. And with event mapping, we can configure event handler to track any action for your web page component or data resource. Here, we can see the main difference between UI Builder and the service portal.
Less of fulfiller, service or requester.
Sorry.
You can continue, Damir.
Yeah. Here, the main difference between UI Builder and Service Portal clearly listed here. And as we can see, I would like to highlight a few of them. That UI Builder is more designed for fulfillers, users with a role, rather than the key end users. So, it's not so responsive as a Service Portal, so data is not automatically updated. For example, if we have one record and it's changed at different forms, UI Builder will not display such change. Of course, we can overcome such limitation by adding event handler to update the information after specific period. Okay, let's pass to the main part of the webinar, the practice session. For our webinar, we are going to use the web page from the Teiva portal. We have Figma template to correlate the element properties and apply them at UI Builder. Let's review our Figma template. We have it here. It's a real page from the Teiva system portal. We can see here that we have some colors, spacing, and other CSS styles. Guys, unfortunately, we are bound to the webinar's time limitation, so building complete web page from scratch is undoable. I have rebuilt this web page before our webinar, and I have spent few hours on applying this template. To fit a half an hour time, I need to be as a Flash superhero, quickly develop each component, so it will be a series of quick images, and there will not be any comment from my side. In the allocated time, I would like to highlight how UI Builder capabilities can ease web development process. Let's go to our ServiceNow instance. Let's select UI Builder. So in this UI Builder main interface, we can see we can select a relevant experience with different pre-designed app shells. You would like to ask me, what is an app shell? From ServiceNow official explanation, app shell is wrapper of contents of an experience page. In simple words, app shell enable us to specify unified style for web app. We can set up a header, footer, and navigation. From the box, we have a portal app shell and workspace one. For this webinar, I have prepared the custom experience with portal app shell, and I have created a separate team to define Teiva brands, colors, and fonts. With user release, we have received this home interface. to select right experience and easily drill down to core properties. Okay, let's select the Teiva portal experience. And let's overview how we can define themings. I'm going to pass to setting tab. Here we can see title of our experience, URL path, the basic page, access roles, and here we can see the custom theme. Let's open this theme. I have added theme in order to use Teiva system brand colors and custom fonts I have mentioned before. So during adding new theme, I'm inheriting the basic Polaris theme. This theme is used in our backend. Here I'm overriding the properties for a button as in Figma template. I have used the variables from official ServiceNow developer documentation, and it's the RGB colors, and I have applied the colors which were in Figma template. As you can see, I have attached custom fonts here as well. Okay, let's return to our UI Builder interface. Let's press here. We will see Teiva Portals Experience Home Interface. And for this webinar, let's select Enterprise Web Page. We can see the basic UI Builder interface, with various functionality, which covers all front-end and back-end logic. Here we can see that we have content section where we can add components, models. Also in this section, we can preview our results and we can move components, change layouts. Everything is going to be displayed here. Then in the page configuration, it's a section where we specify configuration for the components. Also, we can easily access backend data, some backend logic by using data resources. We can save the result in client state or some temporary values. And by client script, we can add client logic. During creation of custom experience, actually you don't need to create custom components. The main difference between ServiceNow and Service Portal, Service Portal and UI Builder, that components can be configured in a way that it will cover all basic requirements. So it's pretty powerful tools that with components, you can easily configure the page according to your design. With widget as a service portal, we need to apply additional change. You need to copy this widget, change the code, use AngularJS, then change in the service portal page, change out-of-the-box component, widget with a custom one. Today we'll use UI Builder from front-end perspective. So let's set up the width according to Figma design. So in Figma design, we have width as with following height. And let's pick this width here. Okay. By pressing open button, I'm going to redirect it to our page. So it will redirect us to the page path. So it's here we can see the experience name and page name. We can see some spacing at the top of the page. It's because we are using Portal App Shell and we haven't defined any header properties. In the standard header properties, we need to define logo, and at the end of this container, it will be menu and some search section. We have some different header. According to Figma design, it's the menu navigation is centered, and we have contact button. So we can apply such header in a custom app shell, but let's leave it for the next webinar. Okay. Let's quickly overview our web page. So before building new blocks of code, I want to highlight a few design choices which helped me to adapt the design according to the Figma template. As you can see here, we have two breadcrumbs. One of them is out-of-the-box one, and other is custom, which was created by me. As you can see, out-of-the-box one can be styled, so it has standard style. You cannot apply any change. You cannot change the font, height, or color. So unfortunately, it's not flexible. In order to overcome such limitation, I'm using rich text component. This rich text component is used to render custom HTML. So we can define HTML by stating blocks of tags, and this text is going to display it at our portal. Okay, let's return to UI Builder interface, and let's review my custom breadcrumbs. Here we can see that we have in the configuration section of the component, I have selected home these breadcrumbs. Yeah, we can see that we have HTML. We can define HTML tags, as I mentioned before, by static input, or we can bind it to data from backend or from client state, or in my case, we can define it by script. I will open it. I have organized my code in following way, where I define the styles as a different variable, and I'm returning a link tag. I would like to add that this script option is pretty powerful, and depending on the inputs and different states, for example, you can easily access states by simply pressing API state and select the right one, or you can select the data resource. For example, you have queried data from incident table or problem table, and you can, depending on the state of the incident or problem, you can specify what kind of background color will be, what kind of color of the text will be for the font size. So this script gives us flexibility which we miss with some out-of-the-box components. The second issue which I would like to highlight, let's return to our portal. In this third block, we can see we have two buttons. As we can see, the first button is out-of-the-box component. It has following properties as a label. We can specify some icon before that. We can specify what color will be when it's unselected, when it's selected, and hover. We can define tooltip. But this button, unfortunately, use predefined color settings. And as far as you remember, in the theme, I have overridden the variables for a specific variant of the button. It has downside because, for example, in our portal, there are many colorful buttons, and each time we need to override existing settings, and there are only 7 of them, and we are pretty limited with our choices. In order to overcome this limitation, I have used a card-based container where we can define exactly similar setting, like red background, style text, and we don't need to change some out-of-the-box settings, like the basic colors. The downside of this solution that is not so responsive as the out-of-the-box one. Let's see it from configuration part. Here, we can see that we have negative primary variant. As I have mentioned before, there are some properties of the button component. And the main action of this button is event. By using events tab, I can attach any action for when a button is going to be pressed. Sorry, click it. I can display some model, I can redirect to next screen, or I can initiate backend logic, for example, to add new record, or I can just hide something from the screen. With card-based container, I'm specify the basic size, and in the styles, as you will see, I'm specifying what kind of colors it's going to use, what kind of padding or borders will be. We can specify these styles by using standard ServiceNow interface for styling, or we can set it manually by clicking View and Edit toggle. In this toggle, we need to specify CSS for external layer and internal one. When I have pre-built this, I just copied it from Figma template in order to reduce the time for development. And as I have mentioned before, we can attach events to this container as well. So why I have displayed these two cases? It's in order to display that, yeah, some out-of-the-box components are not flexible, but others are pretty flexible. And in order to meet your customer requirements, in some cases, you need to find the different ways, alternatives, run your imagination, and from your technical experience, you need to select the right choice. At the last case, you can also develop custom component, but I prefer using the out-of-box options. So, okay, I have finished with the tips and tricks section. Let's move to our next topic. Let's review our Figma template. And according to Figma template, we are missing this section. We are going to build it right now as some practice. I'm going to explain how I'm going to build it, what kind of logic I'm using when reviewing such template. So let's start. Here we can see that we have white background. Okay, let's move to the developer mode. We have a white background. We have one container with internal spacing 70 pixels at the top and 132 pixels at the bottom. We see that our content is centralized. So for that, in order to do such thing, we need to add internal container, and we see that it has such spacing from right and left. I have deduced those parameters before our webinar, and the internal container is going to have 440 pixels. And we see that we have text, separator, and following blocks of code. As we can see, they have same structure with image and again separator and some text. Okay, let's build this section in UI Builder. It's going to be after this block. In order to better organize my content section, I have named the general containers. Let's add new section, new component by pressing right click on the Teiva partner section. I will press add component after, and it will add component after Teiva partner section. If I will be pressing the component, for example, add component here, it will add it inside of this section. Okay, let's press add component after, and I'm going to select container component. This component is used to group components and organize form layout. Sorry, guys, I need to move this here. Okay, and let's name this container as commitment. Then we see here that we have spacing, white background, and following properties. I will not set a width and height for this. I believe the content will increase the height automatically. So let's set up width. Let's leave width as 100%, but let's set up with a background color. By default, we have white color, but let me display how color picking is working here. Okay, next we need to specify internal padding. We can use out-of-the-box choices like large, mid, and we can even override them as far as you remember with theme. But let's use custom values. 30 pixels for the top, 0 for the right, 132 pixels for the bottom, and 0 for the left. And the only thing which is left is to add, is to align our items at the center. Okay. Next, what we need to add is internal container, which is going to be centralized. I'm going to press add component inside this commitment section. As you have seen, I'm using many containers in my code that it helped me organize the components in better way. It's a pretty powerful tool, so I advise to use containers and define your layouts by using this tool. Okay. As I have mentioned before, we have 1440 pixels as a width, and we'll skip spacing because we have defined in the parent container, but we have some paddings. Okay, let's leave the gaps. Then we will define this separator. Here, I just need to specify width, and I need to align items at center, and that's all. Okay, next we are going to add style text. For style text, I'm going to use style text component. Sorry for repeating the same word. This component gives me opportunity to define static text with custom CSS attributes. We can use some templates from the record subheading, or we can configure it manually. In most cases, I use manual option. Let's copy our text and pass it here in text. We also can define it by static input, or by binding data, or by using scripts. As you have seen, this logic is applied to all components configuration. I'm going to use div tag in order to avoid inherited paddings for example, headings. And I need to specify CSS by pressing edit CSS. Let's copy following properties and paste it at this model. Okay, I have imported this font family in our custom theme. Yes. Then what we need to do, we need to add separator. It's going to separate following text and this complex data. In order to add visual separator, I will use card-based divider. I will apply custom settings. I will not use the out-of-the-box one because according to out-of-the-box, it's red and it's gray and it's a full screen. Let's add this card-based divider under the styled text. As I have mentioned before, I will disregard out-of-the-box properties. I will directly pass to the styles. Let's press View and Edit CSS toggle and just paste the settings from here. We have following width and height, color. But we need to remember that we have some spacing. Let's use it as a, let's use apply setting spacing by using this divider. We have margin top 30 pixels and margin bottom. Sorry. Then what we need to do, we need to change our layout because previously we had elements which were heading like in vertical direction, but right now the next container will have horizontal layout. The components in this container are going to be first of all aligned in the horizontal, then it will have another internal container which will align and set direction in the vertical. Okay, let me add following containers. I'm going to use container. Let's specify this fixed width as here as well. Let's change direction to the horizontal one. And so then what we need to do, we can see that we have repeating blocks. So we have specific component called repeaters which will just repeat following components. Yeah. So I have using the same words. Sorry. Okay. In data array, we need to pass what kind of objects it will have. In our case, I have prepared the state use as client states is like temporary variables. So I have created commitment client state which contains like image path I have uploaded before and text. Okay, let's bind this client state pressing bind data. I need to type state, then select commitments. My next action is going to be the adding container, which will have vertical alignment, vertical direction. Let's review its setting. It has following properties. We have 62 pixels spacing at top and at the bottom, and 50 pixels at the right and left. Also, as you have noticed, we have some gap between these elements. Let me return to the upper level, to this container, and specify gap. And here, I'm going to specify internal padding. CC 2 pixels at the top and bottom, and 50 pixels for the left and right. Then what we need to do is to add image. For adding image, we need to use image component. It's used for displaying static images. And then we have separator with another spacing and our text. Here we need to define the image source. It's a path for the image. Let's bind it from the data array list, which we have defined in the repeater component. In order to use the elements of data array, I need to type item, value, and I need to type the key. In our case, the key for the image is going to be image, and for text, text. Image. Let's specify style for this image by copying it from here. And that's all. Next, we need to add separator. We can add it separator, or we can use functionality which is called duplicate. Let's create this duplicate and bring it here under the image. What we need to do, we need to just check whether it has similar style as the first separator. No, it has different width. Let's just copy it here. And at the top 50 pixels, and at the bottom 24 pixels. Okay. And the last component which we will add is styled text. Here, what we need to do is simply copy the setting for CSS. Div tag and copy CSS values. We can define the text by using by binding data. It's as in case with image, we need to use item, value, and text. You can see here that text has fixed width. Let's copy it and apply it this level. Okay, let's save it and review our result. Oh, something is missing. What we need to do, we need to go to the repeater. Sorry, I believe we need to, no, not this one, but go to the repeater. Let's enable styles and select direction. Yes, and the last part, which we need to do, we need to centralize it. Let's return to repeater or container and put it at center. Yep. Okay, that's all with our practice session. Thank you very much for following me during this webinar. As you can see, developing such simple pages is not hard enough. It's pretty easy. It doesn't require coding, so it's low code. By using ServiceNow UI Builder, you can build such modern web pages from Figma template or any template you would like to use. So it add web development, modern web development technologies. So with Service Portal, unfortunately, we are bound to the old technologies, but with UI Builder, we are following modern web principles. Let me go to our slide. And with that, we are passing to the Q&A session. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I will be happy to answer any of your questions.
Do we have any questions? If not, I have. Yes.
Thank you. I have a question. Does it support adaptive pages for example, for different displays with different resolutions out of the box, or we need to write custom styles to implement it?
For different, yeah. So you're asking whether it's mobile. Yeah, it's quite mobile. You can specify different versions, for example, depending on the setting on the screen size, I believe. So I believe that's doable. I haven't tried to build a page for mobile phone, but for different type of the desktop size, it was working pretty fine. Have I answered your question? Sorry. Yeah, we have CSS grid layout and flex layout. I believe from the web development concepts, those layouts are pretty mobile. So I don't think there will be a problem with applying our pages for different screens.
Thank you, Damir. We had one question in the chat from Jagjit. He's asking, did you use Theme Builder to set up theme for your experience?
I haven't used Theme Builder. I have created it manually, but yes, we have following functionality, which ServiceNow provide us. So with Theme Builder, it can be we can easily change the theme. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions in the room?
Yeah, if I may, I would ask one. Thank you, first of all, for the presentation. So maybe I would just ask, if we compare that to Service Portal, as you mentioned, Service Portal is available only to the internal users who can log into the system mainly. But I think UI Builder allows you to make public pages as well. So my question mainly is, how do you control the access levels for the pages, their availability based on the role, or either if it's logged in user or public user? And maybe you can even shed some light on how do you control the accessibility of the page sections. So for example, if we want to show publicly not the whole page, but just some part of it, and hide some parts. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. In this, can I return to our previous slide? So to this one, and as you can see, public pages is difficult to set up at UI Builder. In Service Portal, we can do this. We can create, when we are creating the page, there is a checkbox called public, and it is going to be available for users who doesn't have access to the ServiceNow. So UI Builder, in my experience, I have built UI Builder for internal teams, so it's more designed to the internal users. So, but how we can control the level of access is we have two options: either to use the roles, for example, when you are creating different variants, and depending on the access level. I do remember when I have passed it to the core setting, there was ACL, and we can add, for example, some ACLs, and depending on the user access, we can define display the page or portal or different variant. And for display, for example, if we want to display only specific section for users with specific role or specific organization, we can use client scripts. It's pretty powerful tool. For example, in client script, you can access the current user session, and you can get his ID, for example, or his department name. And by using this data, you can check whether it's matching to your condition and pass the value to the client state. And in client state, we can we use this state to bind, for example, visibility of the component. But
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for public pages, which is going to available for users who don't have any access to ServiceNow, is going to be challenging. Okay, guys, please ask any question. I will be very happy to share my experience, because for me it's also pretty helpful, because by answering your question, I deepen my understanding in UI Builder.
Thank you, Damir. Thank you all. So you will receive the recording afterwards, and you will have also the possibility to submit your questions afterwards. You can follow our LinkedIn page, where you can will also find the recording, and we'll be happy to answer your questions later. And stay connected, stay tuned. We will continue the webinars around UI Builder and application development in the future.
Yes, our next planned webinar is development of custom component for ServiceNow UI Builder. I'm going to share the practice session, how I'm building the custom components. I have built a few of them, so I have passed all these limitations, and I would like to share my findings during the development of custom component.
Thank you, Damir. That was great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much,
Thank you.
guys.